sometimes I see things and it's not meant to really be a rant, as much as I dislike when someone is an influential trainer and they're saying things that could potentially be damaging to people and dogs. I'm never going to pick on a single trainer who really doesn't have like a big influence on anything, but I find good opportunity to learn by sometimes seeing the way training is done and seeing side effects from it. And this relates to protection training too, which we've just finished talking about. Now, this first video I want you to see, it's from a recent seminar. And what it looks like, I don't know for sure, but it's a woman with a Great Pyrenees, and she's in the clips. She has like crutches, and then other clips, she's in a wheelchair. So I am assuming that it's supposed to be like a service dog of some sort, or at the very least, a pet, all right? And it's a Great Pyrenees, all right? So keep that in mind. So watch this and keep in mind this is a Great Pyrenees, which are selectively bred to be, they're one of the few breeds that their main purpose in life, selectively bred, and guardian breeds are very, very primitive type. One of the first things we've also probably a very early type of dog that were bred that kind of came along with the coming of keeping livestock, right? They're supposed to be protective. So in this video, we could watch it. He's basically at a seminar, and the woman's Great Pyrenees, I guess, barks at some dogs sometimes, and it looks pretty defensive. And they're showing how to stop it with a bonker. All right, let's watch it first together, because then this is gonna move over to some other videos. But there's points to all this, because it's gonna totally relate to troubleshooting behavioral problems, understanding the difference between rehabilitation and management and training. But even if you got one little thing off, it could make some huge side effects with the dog. Now, first thing I want to bring your attention to is that this tendency you're going to hear where a common theme is going to say you have to stop the unwanted behaviors first before you encourage the good behaviors. You know that you can't get the dog to do the good behaviors unless you get rid of the bad behaviors first. All right. There's truth to this in some points in training. Although the vast majority of the time, it's the other way around, right? Is you need to teach the dog the right behavior first, the replacement behavior that you want them to be doing instead of doing the bad behavior. If not, we're going to get side effects and we can get a confused dog. All right. And although, yes, we do want to suppress certain behaviors, we do not want to suppress the dog. All right. It's two completely different things. Now watch this video, and then we're going to go on.
So, sorry. It's okay. Tighten up on the leash a little bit. Let me see. Okay, see that right there? We can walk right there. Okay. Right? So go ahead.
No. That's what's going to happen to you next.
And don't friend your dog.
So that's what's going to happen.
And come on by.
Yep.
So it's like, oh, maybe the dog doesn't like dogs in muzzles. Oh, well. Like, it's like, please stop making excuses for your dogs. Like, there's dogs with muzzles, and frankly, there should be.
Okay. Now, pay attention to the timing that he does, all right? So what he's doing is he's trying to nip something in the bud, all right? So he sees there's this dog that's staring at another dog and they know by the history of the dog that the dog is looking at the other dog with intent to really escalate the level of aggression. It seems like, particularly if the other dog starts looking back or looks like it wants to engage. Now, let's watch again the timing that we have over here and the reaction from the dog.
Let me see. Okay, see that right there? We can walk right there.
Okay.
Right? Go ahead.
No.
All right. Now, little subtle things over here. We're going to see how it's going to cause a problem. All right. Now, the dog stares at another dog. The owner said no. All right. The owner said no. The dog responded to the no and looked at the owner. The trainer then hit the dog over the head. So this was the timing. The dog looks. The owner says no. The dog looks. Jeff hits the dog over the head. The dog cries. All right. Now, there's so much to talk about here. You almost don't even know where to start. All right. So close. There was two directions they could have went with this dog. One way, this dog, and this woman, I guess she's a lot of these people at the seminar, they are trainers. The dogs have some training underneath them. Now, she told the dog no. The dog looked at her. She could have just have easily have praised the dog at that time, and she would have suppressed the behavior just the same right there. The dog was stopped looking, de-escalated, interrupted the behavior. Gave the dog something different to do. All right. This is a guardian dog. All right. This is a guardian dog. Like, this is what they do. All right. So you take the dog out. You have to be aware if the dog feels that something may be a threat, and you guide the dog. Right. That's what we do. We lead the dog. We tell something to do. Now, what he does, and he learned this from Gary Wilkes. He's just basically copying exactly what Gary Wilkes preaches, is he'll tell the dog no, and no matter what the dog does, even if the dog responds to the word no, 100% he's going to hit the dog with the bonker or shock the dog with a remote. And what he says, and he jokes about it there, he says, never threaten your dog. I mean, don't threaten the dog, no. He says you have to back it up every time. Therefore, what happens is the word no, if the dog just happens to do something, happens to notice another dog, because things happen in the real world, the owner cannot tell the dog wrong anymore and allow the dog a chance to fix itself, to make an honest mistake. No means that's it. There's no going back. You're going to get hurt. All right. Now, I've learned a long time ago this doesn't work. All right. Now, I'll show you. I'm going to flip ahead. I just pulled a clip from a Q&A. All right. This is a side effect, a predictable side effect of doing this. That happens all the time. All right. I'm going to go over here. It's someone calling in, doing exactly was taught, because he doesn't have that many tricks up his sleeve, doing the same exact thing that he preached there. And this is what you're going to get.
Great. But if not, it is what it is. Next.
Jessica, I have an 8-month-old dog. I follow all your
That would be great. But if not, it is what it is. Next.
Jessica, I have an 8-month-old dog. I follow all your techniques. We're having a problem with over-arousal when seeing people, dogs. I say no at the first sign of it. Staring, ears pricked, and bonk. The problem is she is now knows what no means, and when I say no, she cowers and runs backwards, starts screaming. I'm also never mad or upset, and my no is very neutral.
Yeah, well,
I hate correcting in public because she makes it seem like I abuse her. She's fully e-collar trained and sport dog, but has the same reaction.
yeah, so it sounds like to me like your dog knows no really well.
Okay. All right. Let me see. I got some comments over here. I'll get to those in a moment. So I'm showing you, there's a few things over here. Training. Now imagine if you're trying to train a protection dog. Imagine if this dog, it's a Great Pyrenees. You know, they can make really great personal protection dogs. Imagine if, I'm guessing that she chose this dog to offer some protection for her too. They're great protection dogs. Now, we have some random guy hitting the dog over the head, right? We're going to want the dog to not. We're not talking about suppressing a behavior. We are talking about suppressing a dog over here, all right? So the dog's not supposed to show the behavior of aggression. If he's loud and aggressive acting, the dog is supposed to, even with a stranger, act this way, or fear of the stranger is even going to hit the dog with a towel. Now, what you have here is a few things. Training, this is why we have ABA, Applied Behavior Analysis, all right, before we start doing anything hands-on. There's so many things in there, right? We really want to understand, the replacement behavior before we try to suppress the behavior. The other thing is it has to make sense on paper, all right, what you're doing. What he's explaining on paper does not make sense, all right? It's not going to make sense. Will cause side effects. Is not going to allow choices. The other thing is, even if it makes sense on paper, what good is it if we cannot actually apply it if it doesn't work in the real world, all right? The training plan. And you'll come across a lot of training plans that sound good on paper, right? Like especially a lot of pure trainers that don't want to use punishment. They're going to talk about, let's take, the dog is fearful, so let's start the dog like half a mile away from other dogs and give it rewards and bring it closer and closer and closer. And it might sound good on paper until in reality, the people live in New York City and they don't have all this time on their hands and they just can't do it, right? Now, what Jeff is explaining too, and in other videos, he explains you have to do this all the time. It's punishment. It has to be consistent. So if that's the form of punishment you do, how many people besides in this enclosed room with a lot of other people that have kind of bought into what he's saying and are going to feel comfortable in the room around people who in reality is going to be walking down the street hitting their head over the towel with a towel, going to be able to actually apply this, or say no and just hitting their dogs with high levels of remote out in public. All right. It leads to side effects. It causes problems. Now, I'm not just going to, for sure, I promise, I'm not just going to tell you hate on this video. I'm doing this to show you side effects, and I'm going to answer these comments, see what we have. But then I'm going to go on and show how easy it is to actually make a plan that makes sense and does not have side effects. But I'm just putting this here because this is very, very common. I actually saw this post on Facebook, and I actually see a lot of trainers that I even know that are hearting it and loving it. All right. Not understanding the many levels of issues that you could potentially have with this on so many levels. It's almost endless. Let's see what comments we have here. Okay. Let's see. Art says, which is why people should not have such a dog unless they want to do protection work, or at least give such dogs some alternatives. Otherwise, they're condemning the dog to a life of continuing frustration, right? It's dumb and dangerous to others. Something I see more and more around me. All right, good. Excellent point, Art. And like this comes down to, I said, I'm going to apply this all to foundation style training. So this is not just a rant, all right? It's meant to make sense, because if you watch his videos or follow him, he's going to refer to this as rehabilitating dogs. This is not rehabilitating dogs, right? Rehabilitating dogs is bringing a dog back to a point that's normal for them after they've been damaged. Generally, now I ran my business for many years really doing rehabilitation. I was doing rehabilitation for fearful and aggressive dogs. And the aggressive dogs were usually fearful, but it was not all rehabilitation. A lot of dogs that were supposed to be aggressive, it was not rehabilitation. It was management and training. All right. I used to call them tramp programs. All right. Tramp training, real rehabilitation. and management program. All right, that's really what it was. So they are all different things. All right. Now, a dog like that would actually need to be rehabilitated after the rehabilitation. As you can see, the person is on the live stream. It was following this and basically explaining a dog that is now damaged. All right, the dog is damaged goods. It's fearful. The owner says no calmly in public, and the dog screams and yells and runs behind. All right, that's a dog that needs rehabilitation to bring the dog back to a normal state. Daria says he just manages to make himself seem like he knows what he is talking about. Yeah, and that tactic obviously works, for him. And I'm going to show you a video too, because body language does not lie. It's not his body language. We're going to watch the body language of the people at his own seminar. All right. Now, if you talk like you act like you're talking about, and he's going to be assertive, and he's going to throw in F-bombs, and he's going to make like awkward, cringy jokes and everything like that to get people to laugh and to try to break the atmosphere, change the atmosphere of a bunch of people that are really doing things that their gut instinct, I'm sure, is making them feel kind of sick to their stomach. These are usually desperate people that don't really know any better. Art says, why not give the Great Pyrenees an alternate behavior? There we go. That's where we're getting at. All right. So easy to do. All right. So easy to do. All right. And even before we get to that, is this owner, are we even talking to this owner yet about leadership? Does this owner lead the dog in the home in every part of its day before it goes outside? Does the dog feel it's his responsibility to protect its owner? I mean, look, it's walking around with an owner on crutches. The dogs are very smart. They're very, very smart. Has she shown that she can be in charge and guide this dog? Right now, we have an outsider. She's saying no, and some outsiders coming over and hitting the dog over the head really, really hard, thus being the aggressor, thus also killing the dog's confidence to actually protect her. Someone comes up to her now and wants to mug her. They could mug her with a towel. All they need is a towel, and they can get her dog to now cower, all right? Because he's teaching the dog that it's helpless. He's going to have her, which he does. He has the owners hold the dog on a short leash while he hits the dog, he stays out of range, hit the dog over the head. And then he coaches other trainers to do that to their clients' dogs too, all right? This is like reverse protection training, all right? Now, that being said, some people may not want their dog to ever be to protect them, but there's also side effects. They're not causing a balanced dog. They're getting a dog that's going to be fearful, have side effects, oftentimes growl and even show aggression towards the owner at this time. Be nice. Oh yeah. So he says super confused. Yeah. Art says the dog was looking at the owner for direction. Yeah, there you go. Gellman's got psychological problems. Yeah, so this I'll call her a trainer. I think most of the people that go to these are trainers. I mean, you get some pet owners, but a lot are like trainers looking for help. The dog, she was right there. The dog responded to her. It did not take much. And those Great Pyrenees, they're super sensitive. They're not very hard dogs. They're actually, if you have a good bond with the dog, they're not very difficult to train at all, really. She was right there with the dog. All she do, praise up that dog, give the dog something to do. Now, punishment is okay. It's much better to get that dog out of the room, teach the dog commands, right? Right there, you could teach the dog a heel. You could teach the dog a look. Instead of the way she used the word no, the dog looked at her. She could just as easily, if the dog gives the warning, you see the dog notices something. There's all these other people walking around with their Doberman pinchers and everything else that are eyeballing. She can just as easily tell the dog, I'll leave it. And then praise it. The dog, look, you could just even give a leave it command. and the dog disengages, the same way, and just praise the dog. So this way, if the dog goes to engage, you punish for leave it. You punish for the dog not doing the alternate behavior. You do not punish the dog for doing the aggression. There's no command. You're just randomly giving the dog right there. And the dog wasn't even showing aggression. She's just telling the dog no and punishing the dog, not giving the dog a chance to actually take her lead. All right. So what happens is you turn into someone who's just punishing the dog. In that video, I cut off that clip where the person was having the side effect where he says no, and the dog cowers. His advice is to stop saying no. Is just go right to punishing the dog. So now this person's going to go in public and just hit the dog for the things that it does. There's a dead end. You can only go so far with these training plans that don't make sense on paper, and then also are not going to be practical. And keep in mind, he openly says, I don't have it in this video, he's constantly talking about one of the ways he makes the people in his seminars feel better is that, yeah, your dog is not going to be perfect. And he talks about, one stream I saw, he said that he euthanized 3 of his own personal dogs out of the 12 that he owned for aggression. Another one I saw him say that he euthanized 4 out of his 12 dogs after he became a trainer. So you got to think like the failure rate is actually very, very high of doing things this way. And only one of them, I think, was actually aggressive towards him or his family. The rest, he was euthanizing dog aggression cases. So this is not a successful way to do it. You do not want to go suppress first and then teach. All right. Nowhere it's gonna make you don't see that. ABA it works. All right. Teach first, and then you teach the right behavior first, or else you're gonna end up having side effects. Art is saying, what you're saying now, Mike, regarding Gellman giving F-bombs, etc., goes to your point, cognitive dissonance. Yep. In the basic 4.0 course. Yes. So there's so many lessons here. Attitude. All right. So attitude. He is going to pick and choose when to be anthropomorphic with the dogs. He's going to constantly, when he wants to punish the dog, when he wants the owners to punish the dogs, he's going to refer to them like jerk people. All right. They're trying to get over on you, and they're jerks and this and that. And attitude leads to behavior. All right. This is all part of training. All right. So if you don't understand the dog, it leads, he probably really believes that the dogs are basically being jerks. But then that leads, our attitude then leads to, if we think the dog is a jerk, we're going to behave towards the dog like it's a jerk. But then other times when someone is saying, the dog, if someone refers to the dog as a person in a good way, he's going to say, no, these are not people. All right. Blah, 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 blah. So he's going to be very selective when to anthropomorphize in order to create the right attitude. If you create the right attitude in the handler, you can get them to do almost anything. If you have the attitude for it first, lead them to believe these dogs are jerks, and then you're going to, then that's what's going to end up happening. But he has a harder time. I didn't post all. There's one where like the owner is crying in the same seminar because she basically feels bad doing this to the dog. And then he pep talks her. It's all on, you go to his like Facebook page. Like these are all recent videos, and like hugs her and pep talks her and says, it's okay. This is what we got to do for the dogs. You do not have to do this, for the dogs. But I'll show you this one too, because this is all at the same seminar. And I'm talking about, it's the body language. Now remember, a lot of you here are here because you're professional trainers. Some of you are here just because you're serious hobbyists. But our job is to improve the life of the owner and the dog. Like these are quick fix kind of seminars, all right? And like where you're going to get results in the class because everyone has like a remote in one hand and like a bonker on the other. And they're just like shocking the crap out of these dogs. And they're suppressing dogs, right? They're not really, they're suppressing behaviors and the whole dog with it. Now here, these are his highlights. These are things that he chooses to really show. I'll show you this video. I mean, it's kind of long, but it basically shows a dog that I guess was there for pulling. And the dog looks like it is so scared. It looks like, we don't see what happened before this. It looks like it doesn't want to move at all anymore. And this is learned helplessness. You're seeing it in here. The body language of everyone at this seminar, you can sense it. Like you can sense the uneasiness in the people at the seminar. All right. I'll put this on.
It's always worked. And that's why you're here. And kudos for being here. Kudos for everybody that's uncomfortable being here, you know, because I know it's hard. But this is all drama. Because it's always worked with this dog. Okay? It's always worked. And that's why you're here. And kudos for being here. Kudos for everybody that's uncomfortable being here, you know, because it's not easy. It's not easy to see your dog, like, you know, in distress.
Again, the attitude. All right? He's poking this dog in the face. He's saying this is all drama. This dog is so scared, it looks like it's scared to even look away from him. It's someone else's dog. And he's saying the dog is basically full of drama. It's just drama. It's not a confused dog. It's not a scared dog. It's a dog that's full of drama.
All I know is, in the house, when you don't ask this dog to do anything, it's probably a great fucking dog.
Oh yeah, she's tremendous.
But all I'm asking you to do is walk.
Right.
Like, it's not that hard to do is walk. Like, do you have a backyard?
Yeah.
Okay, you let her off leash, she runs around the backyard, but you can't walk down a fucking straight line? It's like, it's all manipulative. The dog could walk.
Yeah, she can walk. We walk.
Right. But the dog is deciding, I don't want to walk.
Right.
Everything
So
we're
the
seeing here.
dog is a manipulator, according to him. All right, this is attitude. This is a lesson in creating an attitude to get people to do a certain behavior. Also, look at the dogs here at the seminar. One is scared to even look around. Is going to keep its head turned. These dogs are all heavily, heavily punished for just being dogs.
It's all, I don't want to do it, what can I do? So what you need to do, good for looking at me, thank you so much. Okay, so what you need to do is, you need to teach this dog, I'm saying we're talking basics, but this dog struggles, and with you with a remote collar, I would even not use a remote collar for walking right now.
Okay.
I'd be like, don't use it, just put it in your pocket, don't use it. And what I would do is, it's just like, you can't even walk. Every time, this dog's done this whole seminar. It's like, I try to walk it puts on the brakes. And then
She's usually dragging me. I mean, I'm at the house and she's...
It ain't happening today.
No.
Yeah.
No, she's scared, yeah.
Yes. So you don't get a free pass for being scared.
Right.
So it's like, I know you're scared, but all we're doing is walking there.
Right.
And walking there. And if you think this is scary, how about like...
Yeah. She's usually the
out there.
opposite. I mean, we're walking and she sees a dog and she wants the dog.
So that's, it's the same energy, it's just being flipped.
Right.
The littlest bit of success. You have got like, there's a lot of unstable dogs around you. You know, they're their owners. But you're asking this dog to do like, it's like a food lure is not going to work. Praise is going to make it worse. Any chit chat, side chatter is going to make it worse with this dog. What you need to do is, it's like, again, we're asking this dog to walk through the belly of fear right now, and you're also nervous as hell.
Of course.
You know, and it's just like, you notice.
All right. So I'll put links to all those. But you're going to see, I mean, as far as I know, this dog wasn't there for being fearful of other dogs. It was there for pulling, all right? And now you end up with one extreme and you get side effects, all right? And now you have to, you may have got some sort of success, but now you went 2 steps backwards, all right? You destroyed your dog. And in all senses of the word, we're looking at broken dogs. I mean, if this isn't dog breaking, I don't know what it really is. It's heavy punishment, and the dogs don't quite understand. But so much to learn here. I mean, I feel extremely bad for these dogs. But let's go up our triangle over here. And then go, let me see this. I'll go about canine. Everything. There's so much to learn, and why it's good to have a system, right? We need to understand we need to understand the dog, right? This helps even just choose properly, right? If you do not want a dog that's going to be protective of you, don't choose a dog that's good at being protective of you. If you don't want to go through the motions of training the dog and communicating with the dog, right? And then if you happen to have it, understand it. Understand it, because then you can create a correct diagnosis. The correct diagnosis is not the dog is a manipulator or the dog is full of drama. It's generally the dog is the things that we know, that the dog has a tendency for protective aggression or something like that. Like, understand what it is, because it then creates our right attitude, right? If we understand our right attitude, we're gonna have a good behavior. We're not just gonna cut corners and just shock them at the heaviest level, or let some stranger just take a towel and knock the dog over the head, right? Art says, I'm comparing this hideous display to your classes, Mike, with dogs who were likely far more problematic than those in the video. Wagging tails, calm, happy owners, etc., and the dog's behavior improved. Yeah, and say these are like one-shot deals. Right? These people are coming to a seminar. He's coming in their town. He has no problem. He's going to destroy the dog, and he got their money, and he's going to leave town, right? And then he has someone who he has a full-time social media person who immediately will delete any negative comments about any bad experiences people have had over there. And he's gonna, so it's what it is. It is a business plan, and it's hard to tell if he knowingly just knows he's doing crappy training or he really believes it, but from the one silver lining to this is we can learn from it. You can see side effects. You can see what happens when you do things the wrong way. So it actually helps you recognize side effects in clients' dogs and stuff like that. And because I've seen this, I've seen that it's repeatable. Certain things, it's like I say, the way I explain foundation style training is it brings errors to the surface. You can literally get error codes, just like a computer will throw back at you, or a program will throw back at you if something's not working right, if something is not lined up right, if there's not a prerequisite. You'll get a code, right? You get a dog, if someone says no and their dog like cowers and cries, it throws back a code, right? It tells you that they did not teach the condition punisher properly, where the no is not the same thing as the punishment, right? You got a poison command. We know at least one step that was missed. All right. That we don't have a condition punisher over here in the correct way. We have a poisoned command incorrectly done. But this all you can see going right up the line everywhere where we have a potential error. All right. Management issues didn't stick out like a sore thumb there. If he has muzzles on the dog and stuff like that, to keep him out of trouble, then they're probably being managed okay. Applied behavior analysis, 100%, this does not follow anything that has been heavily studied and proven. And it's not even like you have to find a training plan in some literature somewhere of how to handle this dog. It just has to make sense, right? It has to be able to make sense to you. And it doesn't make sense. It's when you really go through it, it's not going to make sense. It's not proven. It doesn't work. It's not going to empower. It's not doable. It's not going to follow a standard that's going to make sense. Leadership. Is he even talking about leadership to these people? We'd be fighting against Mother Nature over here. And of course, we talked about the training. All right. There's no talking to the dog. There's no talking to the dog. There's no communication. it's very caveman-like. It's just slam the dog over the head for anything you don't like. Punish, 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 punish. All right, and that's what you're gonna get. All right, that's what you're gonna get in this case. Little loose ends over here. Yeah. Yeah, the no. Yeah, you're gonna get. I call it the walking on eggshells effect. The dog is gonna not like being with the owner. All right. Basically, these dogs are not gonna feel comfortable anymore with their owner because their world is now unpredictable. They cannot predict. They cannot control the stimulus that's around them, and what's gonna get their attention and this and that. You cannot go through life without making a mistake. All right. You need mistake. You need someone to be able to say wrong. No should mean wrong, all right? It's the polar opposite of the clicker or yes. If someone's using a clicker, if they're using a conditioned reinforcer the right way, they're not supposed to click and give a treat every single time, that they do something like this, all right? The clicker is supposed to replace the actual reward as much as possible. No is the same thing. It's the polar opposite. No, as long as the clicker is getting the results, you use the least amount of reward as possible to get the same behavior, all right? No is the same way, all right? You use no as long as you're getting a stop in the behavior. You use the word no without the punishment. That is not preached with Jeff Gellman or Gary Wilkes. They don't understand that. They're not going to understand that. And because of that, you're going to get side effects of always needing to pair the no with the punisher. The punisher becomes unavoidable when they make a mistake, all right? And they're just totally leaving out that these are thinking creatures that make mistakes, all right? And you do not need to do a heavy punishment for a strong mistake. The same way anyone who has someone in a position of authority over them, right? If a parent tells a kid, no, don't do that, if they know that it will be reinforced, generally that's enough, right? If someone's boss tells them like, no, that's wrong, don't do it, someone doesn't necessarily need to get a pay cut or anything like that every time they make an honest mistake. The idea is if you have the right relationship, no's are like growls. They're just warnings, all right? They're just warnings. Once you stop doing things that make sense, you get major side effects. And I've seen this over 20 years ago. I've seen side effects from people saying no and just punishing the dog. It would result in people saying no, and if the dog was off the leash, they would run away from the owner because they thought fixing themselves is no longer an option. Then if the owner makes it so the dog can't run away, you're going to get, depending on the dog's temperament, the dog is either going to start pissing itself or it's going to show aggression. It's going to show aggression towards the owner. Fight or flight. But you can see how this is, it just does not practically work, all right? But I want you to understand why, and that's what it is. This isn't just a rant. I'm hoping like you could kind of see how this works because we're here to troubleshoot things. And a lot of times that's what we're doing. A lot of times we're troubleshooting what has happened to the dog in the past, and we're doing a lot of rehabilitation. But, Jeff, at the very least, it's good educational material to troubleshoot, to be like, how would you do something different? How could we get better results? Art says, what you're saying now, give an F-bomb. Yep. The handler has the job in front of her in a position to move forward. Shouldn't he teach her leash and activity position? The handler has the dog in front of her. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, Allie, yeah, good point. There's so many little things, like it's, teach the owner. I mean, you got to teach the dog what to do in different situations, so you're hanging out with your dog. You're in a situation like that. Simply teach the dog a good heel command where you teach the dog to go behind your heel. Immediately kind of shows the dog that that you're in control of the situation. You're giving them something to do. And sometimes that's all you really need. Put the dog in a good heel position. If you see them eyeballing at the other dog, you can just do a leave it. Leave it with the dog. And then from there, of course, I am not against punishing dogs at all right? But you're teaching the dog what to do first, and you're punishing them for disobeying the command that you gave them, not for just a random thing that they've done just based off of their reaction to the environment, all right? You should know the environment and tell the dog what they should be doing at that time. And then you don't have all these side effects. And of course, praise your dog and love your dog and let the dog, show the dog that you are happy and in control and there's nothing to worry about. It actually goes a long way. Instead of having all these people standing there stiff and just punishing their dogs, holding remote collars, and that's all that they're really doing. These poor dogs are so confused, all right? Art says, serious question here. In my humble opinion, do you think it's possible for licensing trainers to prevent crap like this? I figure Gellman's mama or papa beat the crap out of him for behaving like a kid when he was a kid, and he's taking it out on dogs now. I think yes. I think licensing of trainers, I mean, you're not going to totally prevent stuff like that, but what happens is if there's licensing of trainers, it would at least hold kind of accountability to certain standards. Like I do really like, and the thing is, got to remember, a lot of these people at the seminars, it's like they just actually don't even know any better. So Jeff is a huge outlet for training trainers. Like a lot of these people that go, they have learned how to train and were endorsed by him to be professional trainers. So they're going out now, and these people in the seminar that are taking this advice from him, you have to think their skill level is even lower than his. And then they're going and helping people. All right. So he's not even teaching them basics. Licensing, I would hope, would at least require for people to understand some, basic dog behavior, understand some basic concepts of ABA, even Lima. All right. Least invasive, minimally aversive. All right. People are scared of that term. All right. They think of it as purely positive training. All right. It's not purely positive training. That term was coined by Dr. Lindsay, who's a huge advocate of e-collars and prong collars and everything else, who wrote those great textbooks that you could find. Dr. Lindsay, if anyone wants further reading, they're the best volumes on dog training out there that are referenced to scientific studies. And what Lima basically means is to you need results. For sure, Lima has to be results orientated, but what it does is you're doing it by being least invasive. Meaning if you can accomplish the same thing with less force, all right, which is less invasive and minimally aversive, meaning like basically making the dog's life hell or crappy. That includes things you'll see purely positive trainers doing. Like if you're keeping a dog just in the crate all the time, all right, that's not minimally invasive to the dog's life, all right? So you can't just keep the dog shelved away and prevent everything. You're trying to give the dog a good life. But it's meant to think it out and be like, have you actually, and we should do an article on it or a stream just on Lima. It's like, have you taken the time to teach the dog what's right first, basically? Have you taken the time to see what is motivating to the dog? Are you reasonably making the dog's environment in such a way, manipulate it in such a way that the dog could be successful without being ridiculous, right? It's not meant to ask people to be ridiculous, all right? And for sure, punishment is part of it. But you're supposed to teach the dog what the punishment is. And you only do it as kind of a polishing off thing, but it's there. The training you learn here is Lima. It's based off of that, all right? You're going to teach the dog first. Then you're going to basically teach the dog the escape conditioning, how to avoid, how to escape punishment after the dog knows what to do. And then last is avoidance training, where now if you do not do this behavior, you will get punished. But they understand first what they're supposed to do, why it's good. You teach them how to escape anything that's uncomfortable first, so they're not scared like these dogs when they get it. And then you polish it off with avoidance training if you have to. But that's all Lima. But I believe that should be required for professional trainers to understand. So they don't go in to someone's house and their first plan, because the only thing they know is from a Jeff Gellman seminar, which is just to hit the dogs over the head with the towel or say no and just hit the dog with an e-collar. All right. But unlicensed trainer, they don't need to know that. There are more, I would say there's more professional trainers out there that have like zero education than those that have any type of education at all, really. So it causes a problem. Sharon says, Jeff ruins dogs, should be banned from being a dog trainer. It's sad. I can't watch him without getting upset. Yeah, it does. It is upsetting when you see to me, it's upsetting to see what happens to the dogs and to the owners. Like when you actually see it and you see the owners, you could feel their energy. I mean, I could feel it through the computer screen, like what they're going through. I can tell a lot of them feel sick to their stomach being there, but they paid for it and they're going to try to justify it. And you're going to see like we're going to talk about cognitive dissonance and all sorts of stuff. They're going to sway the argument in their favor to justify why they're there. And sometimes what they have to do is they're going to have to listen to his words to balance things out so they think they're doing the right thing. All right, Jeff is saying this is the right thing, so okay, I'm doing the right thing. All right. Sometimes they're gonna need everything. They're gonna need whatever they can get to make themselves feel like they're doing the right thing. Art said, not easy seeing dogs in distress. Reminds me of Hitler telling his SS officers he understood they're being upset at murdering Jews, gypsies, gays, etc., but it was necessary for the greater good. That's a historical fact. Yeah, so it's crazy what you can get people. So knowing that happened, Art, it's very easy to see how easy it is for a seminar to go on like that, and to have, we're not even killing people here. We're punishing dogs, all right? So it's going to be very, very easy for Jeff to be able to convince these people to do that, all right? Or it says, I'm comparing this hideous display to your classes. Okay, we were over here. Yeah, and Alex in the first video, the handler has yep, so we covered that. Okay. What do we have here? Art says, I'm seriously preparing myself right now to do training locally, and I wonder more about how to motivate owners than about working with dogs. In other words, how to engage people so they enjoy. And that's the key word there. Remember, that's what we're there for and want to spend time. It takes to do it right rather than to succumb to the fantasy that there's a magic bullet for training dogs. This has been a great stream, come full circle. Despite the drama of protection training, the basic principles of this kind of training are identical to training in general, be it basic obedience, scent detection, fly ball, or whatever. I agree. Ali says, yeah, there's not Q training. I wonder how many of these clients have dogs that finally have enough and bite the handler. It happens a lot. He's not going to talk about it, and those comments will be deleted. But believe me, I got the calls. When I did put that Jeff Gellman video out public, I was getting flooded with calls and emails. Art says it takes much more intelligent self-control technique as well as knowledge to do it right. Science, technique, skill, sensitivity, attention, than it does to be a caveman brute or purely positive cultist. Has Jeff been bitten during a seminar? Oh, I know he's been bitten lots and lots and lots of times. And he showed photos of himself with black eyes from getting like punched in the head with muzzles. I know he's for sure been bitten a lot of times. Ali says, I do fitness with Fido as advanced training classes for my clients so they can be active with training. Good. That's good. So I said it wasn't, my goal was not necessarily to be like to bash Jeff. I mean, I have no problem bashing Jeff. But I'm hoping, you could kind of get, I want you to understand why I guess I bashed Jeff, but also understand like it's not just about complaining like, oh, I don't like that. That doesn't seem right. That's mean. It's understanding why it doesn't work and the side effects that you can get, and why you're not just going to tell people not to do that. You can actually offer them something that's going to just make more sense and it'll work better and they'll enjoy it. Good training, the trainer should enjoy it, the owner should enjoy it, and the dog should enjoy it. Even when you're dealing with some pretty bad aggression cases and stuff like that, you'll be surprised if you take your steps, you can enjoy it. And there's not as many people that need instant results as you would really think. A lot of people need instant solutions, which is usually a management solution to just prevent the dog from having from the problem. But then as long as you can manage the dog, you could generally enjoy a training plan. And from a professional point of view, you're more successful. I definitely know trainers who follow like Jeff Gellman, and they're the same trainers who are usually hanging out also on the marketing groups because they can't keep clients, because they're doing like one-shot lessons with owners. They do a lesson, they don't get invited back. Because they're just hitting the dogs over the head or something. They don't get invited back. They rarely get referrals. Where if you are taking your time, the client enjoys working with their dog, they're going to want to work with you. You're going to be working. There's nothing wrong about working with an owner for 5, 10, 15, even 20 lessons if they're enjoying it, all right? They're enjoying it. They're paying you for it. They're going to have this dog a lifetime. They're going to have the dog a lifetime, all right? And if you're running a business too, it does not hurt that that they want to take their time and work with you, all right? That they want to work with you. There's very few quick fixes out there, all right? Yeah, I like that too, fitness with Fido. All right, so I'm going to close off this stream. We're going on 90 minutes, and I'll be back next week. We're just going to be doing regular Q&A for now. I will try to always have something to talk about because I can't help myself. There's always something I want to get off my chest or something I find interesting. But I will answer all questions. All right, I'll answer all questions every Wednesday if we don't get to it in the in the forums. Stick them over here. Okay. All right, everybody have a good night, and I will see everybody next week.